and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. Deflategate, the saga continues. Wow, here we are still talking about Deflategate that initially happened on January 26th. As all you Robert Sports Show 4 fans have seen, I replayed the Deflategate versus Bountygate versus Deflategate, re-aired all that video just to kind of give everybody a refresh of what I had done there leading up to this video. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a deflator. I'm a deflator. That term in 2015 means weight loss. I've lost 50 pounds since July. So I am a deflator. The NFL comes out with this Wells report and it says more likely than not, Brady was at least generally aware of the deflation of the footballs. More likely than not. I thought you were either guilty or innocent by a reasonable doubt. More likely than not sounds, well, we don't think you were, but we think you were, so I guess you were. Let's look back at this game from January 26th, the AFC Championship game, New England Patriots, Indianapolis Colts. First half, where the deflated footballs were, the Patriots were leading 17-7. Okay? During the second half, during halftime, I guess the referees and stuff took the balls or whatever they end up doing, changing them out, so we know the second half of that game, the balls were inflated correctly. The Patriots scored 28 points and the Colts scored 0. So with deflated footballs, they score 17. With properly inflated footballs, they score 28. What? According to Dean Blanchard, whatever his name is, the NFL head of officials on January 29th said that the NFL does not log the pressures of the footballs when they're taken. So there's no way of knowing to the moment when this happened. But I believe it was McNally was seen going into a restroom with a bag of footballs, 24 of them total, 12 for the Colts, 12 for the Patriots, and he was in there for a minute and a half. Well, if you got to take a dump, it takes a little bit. If you got to pee, sometimes you got to pee a lot. It could take a little bit. Time you wash your hands and leave. Did he have time to do this? Didn't he? Who the fuck knows? He knows. He's not talking. Because you know what? He's a deflator. I just don't understand. Actually, you know what I do understand? Controversy creates cash. You've heard me say this before, fans, but guess what? It's true here. When this happened, January 26th, here we are, May 14th, when the Wells report comes out, or May 15th, or whatever the hell, the day, 14th, whatever the day it was that came out this week. We're looking at, what is that, 3.5 months, almost 4 months later? If you look at NASCAR, when they penalize somebody, they penalize them. The penalty comes out Tuesday. They have on Tuesdays. They have a chance to, appeal it. So okay, they appeal it. The appeal takes a couple of weeks. So within 3 to 4 weeks, you're found guilty. Your appeal happens. Done. Not in football, but you know what? The timing of this, I think, is quite controversial. I guess is a good word for it. Well, what's going on in sports right now? Well, today, the NHL conference final starts. The NBA playoffs are going on. Conference finals start next week. So let's get toward the end of the playoffs for the NHL and the NBA. Major League Baseball season is a month and a half in. Nobody's talking about the NFL. The draft's over with. No one's really talking about the NFL. So guess what? I think this was all a farce from the NFL in order to get people talking about it. That's why they waited to bring it out. And who better to talk about than the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots one of the top hated teams. I mean, come on, really? If any team in the NFL is going to be a heel team, taking a wrestling term there, guys, a heel team, it's the Patriots. It's Tom Brady's Bill Belichick. You're defending Super Bowl champions. But so this comes out in May, and we suspend Brady for 4 games in May. Okay, so Patriots have 3 months to force feed a playbook to a quarterback to get him to, play in these 4 games. So they appealed it. He may get 1, maybe 2 on the appeal. So there's 2 games. You get 3 months to prepare for the first 2 games. The ironic part about 4 games is Game 5 of the Patriots season versus the Colts. Are you telling me that wasn't planned? Come on. Jim McNally and Jeff Jastromicki, or whatever the fuck his name is, were both suspended. They're the equipment guys. The NFL says the pair could not be rehired without league approval. I love how a lot of the media, Mike and Mike in the Morning and other media outlets are talking about that. Everybody's talking about it. And they make a comment that these poor guys got suspended without pay. These poor guys are going to get fired over this. How are these poor guys supposed to take care of the family? They're just part-time employees. Hogwash! Are you telling me the Patriots aren't taking care of these guys? Are you telling me that Brady's not taking care of these guys? Come on. If this is as big as everybody thinks it is when it comes to who knew about it, you're telling me that if Brady knew about it, these 2 equipment guys knew about it, Gronkowski didn't know, Gronk didn't know about it? Come on. Best tight end in football, he catches the ball all the time. He's not going to catch it and realize it. You're telling me LeGarrette Blount is not going to, when you hand the ball off to him, realize it? You're telling me the center is not going to realize it? You're telling me every receiver element and all the receivers aren't going to realize about it? You're telling me the referees, because am I wrong, or after each play, the player hands the ball to the referee and the referee places it on the ground? You're telling me these referees touch the ball ever how many times during a game? They're not going to realize that, hey, this ball's softer than normal. Come on. You make Brady the scapegoat when everybody on that team probably knew about it? I just don't get it. Back in November 2014, Vikings and Panthers were caught on tape. Warming up the football with the sideline heaters. You're telling me that's not going to add pressure to the balls? You're telling me during that game it's so cold they had to warm the balls up with the heaters that the footballs were in play that were underinflated? Wait, it's the Vikings and the Panthers. No one gives a rat's ass. Because it wasn't the Super Bowl champions. It wasn't Tom Brady. It was 2 teams that really weren't going anywhere, so who cares? It wasn't in the AFC Championship game. It wasn't a Super Bowl team. It wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't Bill Belichick. So who cares? I don't feel that the NFL can come this hard on Tom Brady without having something about those with New England or with Minnesota and Carolina. We're going to fine the Patriots $1 million for underinflating the balls when those balls, obviously if the players are warming them up, were underinflated and then possibly overinflated. But we don't care about that because the game didn't matter. Okay. Players who have gotten 4-game suspensions or more recently, obviously we know about Adrian Peterson and he was suspended indefinitely and got reinstated. Richie Incognito got suspended indefinitely and that got lifted. Don Jones got suspended indefinitely, that got lifted. Ray Rice got suspended indefinitely and that was changed. But if you remember when the Ray Rice thing first came down, no one had ever had a domestic abuse thing going down, and Goodell gave him 2 games. And the world threw such a fucking outrage for that the other part of the video was finally shown to us, which we know the NFL already had, shown to the public, and he was suspended indefinitely, and then he was reinstated. Here's some players that have gotten more than 4 games for things. Greg Hardy got 10 games. We know what he's done. I disagree with that, but it is what it is. Josh Spring got 10 games for manslaughter. Drove drunk, killed a teammate. Terrell Pryor got 5 games for a NCAA violation that the NFL carried over to the NFL. Still doesn't make any sense. Ben Roethlisberger got 6 games, reduced to 4 games for rape, or allegations of rape. Dante Stallworth got suspended for the entire season for, what was it, detrimental to the NFL or detrimental to his team or whatever it was ended up being. There's no preference to, there's no history with this. There's no, okay, this happens. If it's an equipment violations, typically it's a $25,000 fine. That's been the history. When these offensive linemen or spraying themselves with cooking spray so you can't get a grip on their uniform, they're told to go change and they get a $25,000 fine. When wide receivers are using stickum on their gloves and their hands to catch the ball better, they're told to go wash their hands, change their gloves, $25,000 fine. They're altering the uniform. They're altering what's going on the field. The same as this. So how come Brady gets a 4-game suspension? $1 million fine for the Patriots. Are you serious? I mean, the Patriots can afford the $1 million. That's not a big deal, but it is what it is. But this needs to be reduced. The Patriots, at worst, need $500,000 fine. I don't say it's worth $1 million. I don't think it affected $1 million worth of play. Maybe $500,000 because of Spygate. Brady should not be suspended at all. As for the draft picks, it'll cost him a #1 draft pick. So I did look this up and write this down, but what's the difference for I know with the new CBA, the draft picks are, each position is so much money. So what's the difference between 32nd as the first round draft pick and round 2 #1 draft pick? What's the difference in money? Because you know what? Because you took that first round draft pick away from the Patriots, the NFL costs an incoming player next year that amount of money. Because there's one player that would have been a first round player that will not go in the first round because the Patriots don't have a first round pick. So it just snowballs downhill everything that is going to come of this. You need to make a flat rule, this point forward, here's what happens when you do this. It's never happened before. You can't just go, boom, that big a suspension for something that's never happened before when another team on camera was messing with the air pressure of the ball by heating them and nothing happens to them. I just don't understand sometimes what the NFL does here. So, Deflategate, the saga continues. We all know there will be more to this as time goes on. So thank you for watching Robert Sports Show. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, the YouTube leader in sports channels.